Back speaking with Kerim Sener this morning from Ariana Resources. Kerim, good morning.
Good morning, Andrew. How are you?
Yeah, really good, Kerim. Good to be speaking with you.
Indeed.
Significant update this morning here for the Dockway project in Zimbabwe. This 40% increase in the resource. Just tell us a bit more.
Yeah, we're extremely excited by the results of the work that's been completed. And this really comes off very many months of effort by the technical team in Zimbabwe, and likewise with the input of the Rockover team, contributing to an improved understanding of the geology of the Dokwe North and Central deposits. In particular, bringing the Dokwe Central resource into JORC 2012 compliance. Previously, it was JORC 2004 compliance. So we've gone through the process of updating that and, of course, improving the Dokwe North resource and our understanding of that immensely. And in part, that's down to an improved understanding of the distribution of the lithostratigraphic units that host the mineralization at Dokwe North. And we've found that we've been able to remodel the resource based on the historic drilling, plus the input of our latest DD drilling, and really improve our level of confidence in both North and Central. So it's an excellent result with over 1.8 million ounces now in measured, indicated and inferred resources across those two deposits.
And Kerim, where does this leave the reserves?
So very interestingly, we previously announced an update on the pre-feasibility study, which was an economic model update only. But we did look at the CPI and the influence of the Rand US dollar exchange rate. But the main change there was to show the impact of a higher gold price on the overall PFS output. So we ran that at 2,000 US dollars an ounce. The prior work was undertaken at $1,650 an ounce, which had defined a reserve position from the original Dokwe North resource, bearing in mind that Dokwe Central was not part of the PFS, so it was only Dokwe North, and they defined a 0.8 million ounce reserve sitting within the single pit there at Dokwe North. What we understand now is that as we go through the process of new pit optimizations running at the higher gold prices, we will almost certainly capture more of the current resource in the pit. So it's not going to be a 0.8 million ounce resource reserve. It's going to be somewhat higher than that. And I'd like to think that we can get up to about 1 million ounces. But obviously there's work underway at the moment, and we'll demonstrate that in due course. But that's where we're heading. And it looks likely that we'll be able to demonstrate for the purposes of a feasibility study, which is ultimately what we want to move on to post completion of the merger. We want to ensure that we can work on a scenario where we're producing perhaps 1 million ounces over a 15-year mine life. That's where we'd like to end up.
So your assessment clearly of this project's improved significantly since that period of due diligence.
It has indeed, and it's been worth all the effort. One of the key components of our improved understanding is all the work that we've done with portable XRF on the drill core at Dockway. And we're acquiring this project with 42,000 meters of very high quality drill core that we've been able to take advantage of with the PXRF. So we've done a very detailed analysis of much of that core. And that's improved our 3D understanding of the distribution of the geology into which we were able to estimate the new resources. So it's a massive step up in terms of our overall understanding of the project as a whole and its exploration potential, because there's an important component of the new resource that relates to inferred resources, which weren't really estimated in the prior work because of the nature of the estimation undertaken. But we've been able to do that because of the way that we've approached this sort of improvement in the understanding of the geology.
Well, clearly, Kerim, a project here with great potential. What would you say to investors who perhaps might be a little bit nervous about Zimbabwe?
Well, Zimbabwe is taking great steps. Over the last few years, you've seen a massive improvement in the GDP. There is an improvement in the economy, definitely. You see that on the ground. There's huge amount of interest coming into Zimbabwe, specifically on the mineral resource development side of things in recent times. And that interest is coming from the UK, it's coming from Australia, it's coming from Canada. and really looking at all manner of projects, be they gold, lithium, PGEs, nickel. It's really across the board. And I think there have been a number of companies that have demonstrated success repeatedly in Zimbabwe, even through some difficult times over the last 20 years. So examples such as Caledonian on the gold side of things, Prospect Resources on the ASX, on the lithium side. So, you see those things happening, and that the country's starting to go in the right direction. And the other interesting development, of course, is the introduction of their latest currency, Zimbabwe Gold, which is a gold and pool of currency-backed new unit of currency for the country. And the government is looking very specifically at the gold mining sector and trying to encourage improved output from that sector, because there's been massive underinvestment over the last 20 years. And this was a sector that, in comparison to where Turkey was, our other area of operations, 20 years ago, Turkey was producing nothing. Now Turkey's just about overtaken Zimbabwe. And, it's a very interesting sort of relationship between the production profile of Zimbabwe and that of Turkey over that period of time. And you can see how, government policy and the direction that the government takes with respect to these things, how that affects an industry. And, yes, there's been underinvestment in Zimbabwe, but that also represents the opportunity. And that's what we see here.
And Kerim, just remind us, you've got a circular out, an EGM planned for the 26th of this month. That's to approve the merger with Rockover.
That's correct, yes. So we're looking forward to completing the merger and marching straight into the feasibility study of Dockway.
Good to see you, Kerim. Thanks for your time.
See you too. Thank you, Andrew.